I woke up at 4 a.m. today excited and ready to go to work to bring you some of the best information that I can provide in the world of cryptocurrency. There's a few things I'm going to share with you in this video that are very valuable and beneficial. Number one is kind of a fun little meme coin that I bought that I'm guessing or betting might get listed on an exchange pretty soon, and that could provide good returns. Not financial advice, it is a speculative meme coin, okay? Secondly, based on a Telegram post that I saw by a guy named Jonathan Carter, who did some pretty good information about when the top of this cycle could be, I've extrapolated that data, put it on a chart, and I'm looking towards a peak of this bull run for Bitcoin specifically, maybe towards the end of May or early June. I'm going to show you those charts. As well, I've got a lot of other great information that goes over the macro view of where we're at in the cycle and should hopefully help you navigate the volatile journey of crypto, but more importantly, walk away with some life-changing gains and a winner this bull run. If you're not in my Patreon, I highly encourage you to check it out in the link in the description below. Without any other further delay, let's get into it. The absolutely ridiculous, stupid meme coin that I'm placing a very small bet on, again, because this is all risk and speculation, we're in the meme coin world, it's Fartcoin. Has a $330 million market cap, great tokenomics, fully diluted value. We have a trading volume of $51 million, and it's not listed on any major exchanges. Okay, maybe MEXC, that's about it though. Radium, the DEX, that's where all the activity is. This is, in my opinion, a exchange listing bet, and if this gets put on an exchange, we might very well see this enter into the $1 billion market cap range and territory, which would give us a nice 3 to 5x roughly. That is the play. That's the play. So like and subscribe if you appreciate that, and do your own research, not financial advice. This thing could go to zero. That's why my specific position in it reflects that risk tolerance. Stock Money Lizards is a fantastic Twitter account that has some really great insights. And as you can tell here, altcoin season starts when the Bitcoin dominance begins to break. And according to the chart that they mocked up, it's about 230 days after the halving. I've seen other charts that say 240 days. Either way, when we're trying to pinpoint the exact shift of the tides where money will flow out of Bitcoin and into altcoins, both these charts kind of bring us into the end of November. Now on this new chart I have pulled up in front of you, this is the Bitcoin dominance going back about a year, and it's been climbing. This is a rising wedge pattern. What I expect is something like what I squiggled up here, is that we're going to keep rising up this wedge and eventually it's going to break to the downside, and that is when the parade begins. That is when altcoin season takes off. That's when you wake up to 10 to 20 to 50% regular gains in your account for altcoins. Until Bitcoin dominance breaks to the downside, Bitcoin is the star of the show. And by the way, when Bitcoin dominance breaks to the downside, Bitcoin's price can continue to still hike. The BTC.D, Bitcoin dominance breaking to the downside, simply means that it's not dominating the market as highly as it previously was. It means that the others and the altcoins are now going to start dominating. They can all still rise, but basically where the biggest money flow is going to be into altcoins. As you can see here, we are still at that $90,000 level. History does not always repeat itself, but it does often rhyme. As you can tell by this post that came up on crypto Twitter, we have a fractal of pretty much a very identical pattern that happened back in the 2016-2017 bull run, and it's repeating itself for Bitcoin right here. We have the halving event, accumulation sideways, and then a parabolic breakout shown by the green. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. The green line right here is pretty much a fractal of what could happen in the months to come. And as he says here, there will be corrections and pullbacks along the way. And that's good. Corrections are good when you have a lot of growth in life. Okay, not just on crypto charts, but corrections are good. They allow you to grow even more in the future. So we're going to have some pullbacks, corrections along the way. But we are officially in the season of buying dips. Buy the dips. That's the season we're in right now. And nothing that I say is financial advice. Consider this entertainment only, but maybe you can glean a little bit of wisdom, a couple nuggets here and there to help you on your journey. Another chart, according to Stock Money Lizards here, when you do a macro view of the fear and greed index, or kind of exaggerating the RSI in some ways, we are not in the overheated section yet. It's going to be tough to pinpoint the exact peak of this cycle. However, like I promised you at the start of this video, in a moment we will shift gears and show on the charts why you might actually want to exit by spring or summer, the latest of 2025. But that being said, we're still on the rise. We're in the kind of final stages where euphoria is going to slowly take over. Now, this is a very insightful macro view chart that Jonathan Carter shared on his Telegram. Has everyone forgotten about the halving event yet? And by the way, I increased the size of the photo so you can see this. The pattern is working again. Bitcoin is growing after the halving event in the medium term. Historically, the macro peak in Bitcoin has been formed 400 days after the halving. Now, only 210 days have passed. So what does that mean? 400 days after this previous halving brings us towards the end of May 24th specifically. So what he's saying is that the macro peak in Bitcoin will likely be right around that end of May part of the year, 2025. But we also know that Bitcoin typically runs first and altcoins lag behind. I'm going to look at both charts, both the Bitcoin historically and the others and altcoins historically, to give us that range of when the exit season might very well be based on past cycle data. So let's take a look at Jonathan Carter's general thesis of about 412 days. Let's see if it's true and where that would bring us this cycle. Each one of these red vertical lines represents the halving event date that Bitcoin has gone through. So we have one on April 20th of 2024, May 11th of 2020, June 10th of 2016, and we go back to November 12th or November 27th of 2012. It was 366 days from the halving event to the peak for Bitcoin. Again, 526 days, then again 344 days. If we take the average of those, we get about 412 days is when we can kind of begin to expect the peak to be in range for Bitcoin. When we go 412 days from the halving event this time around, 412 days will bring us to pretty much right around beginning of June. Yeah, June 17th-ish. If we take the number that he specifically gave us, 400 days, that would bring us to the end of May 28th. Something else to factor in and consider is that while Bitcoin may peak first, altcoins might run a little bit longer. When we look at the others market cap in logarithmic form in the history from the halving event to the peak, we saw about 567 days. On the next halving event, we saw it was 364 days. So if we take the average of those two, we get 465 days. If we go from the halving event and we look forward 465 days into the future, that brings us kind of to specifically this date is July 29th. So we have, let me move this into the screen so you can see it here. We have some window here. This could be a May, a June, or July type of thing. But remember, the money is made in the middle. And also the summer months are typically pretty bad for crypto. I'm going to show you some charts about that in a second. You don't want to be topping, if you can do it, if you can time the absolute top, that's perfect. But if you're already making life-changing gains, when we zoom in on this and we see that there's from one trough to the peak, a good 1,000% profits to make. If you make a 6 or 7x, I would highly recommend considering exiting almost 90% of what you have and just be content and happy, and maybe leave a little house money on the table for further upside, or if it goes to zero and crashes, you walked away a winner, and that's the goal. Now, I have heard this very funny joke before that technical analysis is just astrology for men. It's a good little joke that implies, hey, we get our hopes up based on some of the signs and patterns that we can see and recognize, and I don't really do astrology, but I do see that in technical analysis, when we take lessons from the past and history, and all that these charts are is the macro representation of what the masses are doing, we can kind of get some good information or insights as to potentially when we could expect to be exiting. And in my case, I'm going to keep a close eye on the charts that I showed you, as well as other charts that are going to let us know when the top is getting closer. And looking into the future, which is a tough thing to do, if you're a prophet, that's awesome. I'm sure you got a much better idea than people doing technical analysis. This kind of shows that we might have a peak sometime in May or June of next year. Another important factor to consider is that summer months are typically pretty bad for crypto. A lot of hedge funds, money managers, retail investors, people are on vacation. They're not working that much at the summer. They're not sitting down trading. They're typically enjoying their summer. And we have a lot of history that shows us that the summer months are typically pretty bad for crypto. This is in logarithmic form. So these candles, whether they might not look that big, when you pull, June all the way down to July here, this is a 23% drop in crypto. And that means altcoins are probably doing 30 to 50% drops. You go back here, you get the same thing. This is a bigger circle, but if we pick out the dates here, let's just say somewhere around June, which is this candle. This one was okay, not too bad of a summer, but you go back here, another massive dump in the summer months. End of April, all the way down to June, July, August. We're talking about a 50% correction-ish, around there approximately. Back here, these candles look small. These are the summer months, but this is still, a 15% correction. Again, altcoins are going to be doing much, much worse if Bitcoin's correcting 15%. So point being here is that when we kind of look at some of this data, This might help give us a little bit of a perspective into the future, an insight that tells us maybe we want to start exiting before the summer of 2025. That said, this cycle is very different. We have a pro-crypto president. We have talks of a national Bitcoin reserve. We have Fortune 500 companies gobbling up all the supply. If Trump does approve no taxes on cryptocurrency products that are made in the US, all of this might just have to be thrown out completely. So we have to just keep an eye on this. Right now, what I'm saying is that we have a nice window ahead of us, a good 6 months, 7 months, something like that, to enjoy some life-changing opportunities and to make smart decisions and get completely out of crypto by the end of that and do something else with the money. My name is Phil. This is Money on the Move. Feel free to join the Patreon, get your Tangent wallet. Links are in the description below. Until next time.